Hey, it's Ken from the Parkhill Auction Gallery and Resellers Network with today's question. Is eBay still a good side hustle? Well, for some, it may be. For some, maybe not. So, with Amazon stepping into the game just a few years ago, they've really taken a baseball bat to the sales of eBay. I think they're dominating the market right now, somewhere around 37% of all e-commerce. So if you're selling newer items, I definitely recommend maybe going to the Amazon platform to sell those. Or you could try selling new products on both Amazon and eBay platforms, as well as Facebook Marketplace takes a piece of the market share. But for the most part, if you're selling used goods, I think eBay still offers a real viable option for being able to sell. I mean, come on, admit it. If you were going to try to make your own website and come up with as many registered users and regular buyers, you just never be able to do it. So even with all of the fees that are associated with selling on eBay, it's still pretty much a real value. There's a platform for every type of item that you're going to sell. Like, for instance, in our case, we have our own platform that we utilize for our weekly auctions. And a lot of the items that we just wouldn't bother selling on eBay, we would sell on our own online platform. If you want to look it up and you want to take a look to see how we operate, just type in www.ubid2buy.com. That's the letter U, BIDTOBUY.com. I'll give you a perfect example. Designer clothes sell well on eBay. Like if you have a nice Colombian jacket or some brand name shoe, those will do well. But when you do estate work like we do, and you come across a whole closet full of clothing, sometimes it makes sense for us. We'll just hang it up all on racks and we'll just sell it as one big giant lot. Because to go through and try to sell, one shirt for $5 or $6 just isn't worth it to us. It just takes up too much time. But, then again, we have a much bigger overhead than the average person that's just doing eBay as a side hustle. Look, here's a lot of clothes as well. We would sell all these as one lot. You'd buy them, you'd break them up. Here's a nice jacket, brand name jacket. We don't use eBay for a lot of the larger items. Like when we're doing an estate, we come across a sofa. I don't even like taking them anymore. They're a waste of time. Or some, wooden furniture like these end tables, washer, dryer, lamps, things that are big and challenging to ship. I'm not going to sell these on eBay. That's a waste of time. Look, here's a lot of VHS movies. Gosh, we were tossing these in the dumpsters, and now we'll sell this whole lot full of VHS movies. Someone will buy this and break this up. Some of these VHS tapes from the 80s, they're actually bringing decent money if you break them up and sell them on eBay. It takes a lot of research to figure out which ones are a waste of time. Look over here. In auction, we're selling this lot, this whole camera lot. Somebody could split that up, make some money with that. Probably buy the whole lot for $50, $60, and then each one of those cameras might sell for $30, $40, $50. Like you could buy this whole tray lot full of CDs and put them together in bundles. Look, there's a whole bunch of Elvis. You could make a lot of just Elvis CDs, sell those for $10, $15. You could buy the whole lot for $50 to split those up. Double, triple, quadruple your money. Being a professional estate liquidator, we always have to constantly evaluate what's the best platform for us to sell our merchandise at. Is it to take the time and list it and put it into eBay, whether that be a store at a fixed price, or whether we put it in an auction and just roll the dice and let it go for whatever the buyers are willing to bid on it. We have to ask ourselves if the items are too large. And if they're too large, what are we going to do with those? Well, if we're trying to get the most amount of money out of just one item, like, for example, if I have a dryer like this might be $125 on Facebook Marketplace, or I could put it into a local auction and it might sell for maybe half of that. I'm certainly not going to put it on eBay. Let's talk a little bit on the subject of the numbers. So I would probably say that if we averaged out what our eBay fees were on the lots that we sell, I'd probably say that eBay is taking somewhere between 12 to 15%, probably averaging about 13, I'd say. So you have to take that right off the top. There's always an argument of whether you should do free shipping or, in our case, we tend to use calculated shipping. We do toss the item on a scale, and we do give it some rough measurements so that depending on what part of the country somebody's having it shipped to is going to depend on what they're actually going to end up paying for shipping. In the beginning, when we first started doing eBay, a lot of eBay, we were doing free shipping. And the only problem with that is that, for instance, if we sell a lot of China tends to be heavy. And if we're in New England, we're up here in Massachusetts, selling out of Massachusetts warehouse. And if somebody in the West Coast buys a China set, it might cost, for like a 4-piece place setting with I don't know, maybe 25 pieces or so. It could end up costing $60, $70 to ship that. Whereas if it's only being delivered to a neighboring state, the shipping cost could be half of that. So if you're doing free shipping and you're calculating that into your profit, it's just so hard to try to figure out just how profitable you're going to be with free shipping. But you know what? It's a personal preference. eBay tends to lean towards giving you a higher standing, higher placement as far as views. If you do free shipping, you know what? If you have an opinion on it, feel free to comment down below. I'm always willing to learning new things. But for the most part, calculated shipping is the shipping method that we use that seems to work best for us. So getting back to numbers, it really comes down to how well you're able to source product. In the estate business, I find myself, the longer and longer I do it, the more I find myself paying for the contents of liquidating an estate to them paying us. I would rather take a $2,500 junk removal job, and if I can pick $500, $1,000 worth of stuff out of that house clean out or that estate clean out, that's just a bonus. But these days of us going in and paying for the contents of a house, I'm going to tell you flat out, there is way too much time and labor costs are too high. And in New England, dump fees are ridiculous. So if you're paying somebody to clean their house out, I think you're on the wrong side of the fence on this. Don't be afraid to value your services. And, if you're considering getting into the estate liquidating business, my advice to you is there's more money in hauling trash than there is selling other people's junk. There really is. We have a company called Junkaway Trucking, primarily geared towards cleaning out houses and doing estate cleanouts. But in that business model, we're getting paid to take the stuff, and then once we get our hands on it and we're paid for it, it belongs to us. It's house. It belongs to the house. So our sister company called Junkaway Trucking, actually we have a YouTube channel for it. It's just a small following, but it kind of gives you an idea of what we do in the junk removal business. Feel free to look it up on YouTube. But Junkaway is a company that has a little different business model than our auction company, whereas we're looking for clients that are going to pay us to take stuff rather than we pay them to take stuff. But as a reseller, I see a lot of people that resell either as a side hustle or a lot of people doing it full-time now, out thrifting at thrift stores and Savers and Salvation Army. And, I like that business model. What I don't like about it is the fact that you're actually paying for your goods. You're actually paying for your inventory. And if you pay $7 for a pair of Nikes or you pay $10 for a designer pocketbook or something you're trying to resell, that's all and great. But that's money out of pocket that's money that you don't know how long it's going to take you to get back. And if your sell through on the item isn't strong, you could be sitting on inventory for a while. So if you ask me, that's not necessarily a recipe for success, but again, everybody's different. Some people have had great luck with it. I prefer, if I have my way, I prefer to get paid to take things that I can sell, because I'm making money on both ends of the deal. That's the most attractive way to do it. So what kind of numbers do you have to do? Well, there are some other YouTube channels out there that break that down and get more detailed into that. I'm telling you more as a boots on the ground kind of guy, without getting into all kinds of spreadsheet data and all that kind of crazy thing. I can advertise for people to help me with listing on eBay. Hopefully they have a little bit of background experience in antiques, collectibles, the reselling, listing on eBay. They have some sort of experience for something. And if I pay them $20 an hour, I find that retired people work good. They tend to be a little more meticulous, but they tend to be a little bit slower. Or if you can find some college kids that looking for some extra bucks, they're probably a little faster with the technology, but they're not as knowledgeable about the merchandise. So, it's sort of a trade-off. But if I'm paying somebody $20 an hour, they can list anywhere from, in an 8-hour day, anywhere from 25 to 50 items on average. A stronger lister will do 50. The average tends to be about 30, 35 if they can stay focused. So everybody's different. I think with AI becoming more and more prevalent, I think AI is going to be saving time for us people that are listing. But with that being said, $20 an hour times an 8-hour day is about $160, rounded up to $200. So if you're paying someone $200 to list 35 items, that has to be figured into your variable. If you're doing the listing yourself, like you said, this is a side hustle for you, then I don't know, what do you want to spend? How much time do you want to spend doing this? If you have the merchandise and you have a flow, steady flow, then maybe you try to target for 5 listings a day. Maybe you try to list 10 items a day. Maybe you have a day off from work maybe this is just a part-time gig for you and you have a day off from work and you want to take a whole day and spend the day listing. Maybe you can get 40, 50 items up and then you don't list through the week. There's a big argument some folks will have saying that some people say it doesn't matter. Other people say it does matter in regards to being able to list every day. So, if I don't see a huge difference in whether we list every day or not. What I do see is if we don't list for weeks at a time, our store slows down. So I don't think eBay, this is my opinion, I don't think eBay is like stringent, making sure that you have to list every single day. I think if you could, in my case, what I like to do is pay someone to list. They list for a whole day, but I don't necessarily launch the listings. I might drop 5 a day, or I might go every other day and just keep them in drafts. And then when they're ready to post, I just put them up. That way there it shows just constant site traffic and engagement with the platform. On average, our average sale is probably somewhere around $30, $25 to $30 sale. Doesn't mean we don't sell stuff at $60. Doesn't mean we don't sell stuff at $100, $200 on eBay. It just means that our average lot value, because then again, we'll sell some stuff for $9 and $10 as well. But we tend to be somewhere in that $25 to $30 average sale. I know that based on past sales, if I pay somebody, or if I were to, or if my assistant were to spend 3 days listing every single week with our average lot value being in that range, our monthly sales, our grosses, I think our best months with 3 days of one person listing, somewhere around $8,000 a month. Averaging around Christmas time, probably $5,000 to $6,000 a month with listing 3 days a week. And a slow month might be $3,000 or $4,000 a month. You have to have products with good sell-through. If you don't have good sell-through, you're just wasting your time. And unless you have a lot of shelf space in a lot of places you can store this stuff for long term, don't waste your time with stuff that's just not going to sell. A lot of the eBay sellers that have YouTube channels like to do these daily haul pics where they go, you know, into the thrift stores and show you all the stuff that they're buying. I wanted to just sort of give you a quick walk through our eBay inventory room. This is one of 2 rooms that we have. But we can just do a walkthrough real quick and you can get an idea of like what stuff we have in our inventory that we find works for us and makes sense to spend time listing. So we have everything inventoried by row, like this is row 8. And then we have a inventory for each shelf so we can find stuff once it sells. But as you can see, we do a lot of china. We do a lot of glassware. Everything has an inventory tag so we can find it and marry it up. Collectible stuff. This toy snowmobile, that's kind of cool. Stuff that has silver. Sterling. Tools, we do any kind of specialty tools. More china. Here's a turtle cross collectible. People that like turtles, people that collect soapstone, carved stuff. It's all about keywords, of course. I don't waste my time with china unless it has a recognizable hallmark on it. With Google AI, you can find patterns a lot faster now. Jeans do well. Look at this. We bought these little shelf hangers, these little pegs. We bought a whole case of them and probably paid $10 for the whole box. But then we split them up into little bags of a dozen of them at a time and get $10. So there's a case where you can spend a couple dollars buying one item and then end up with like 50 listings. You know, a $10, $20 purchase might end up bringing you, you know, $1,200 over the course of a year or two. Bubble wrap. The cost of bubble wrap is gone. It's ridiculous now. We used to get bubble wrap wholesale. Now we got to pay big money for it. Models. We do well with models. I always look for models. Fishing gear. New car parts. We bought car parts at an auction. More models. Plastic models. Briars. Briar horses. Those are collectible. More models. Tools. I like selling tools. I always look for tools. They're really, really easy to source. And like in an estate, a lot of times we'll get them for free. Sometimes we have to buy them. Here's a vintage metal riding horse for a kid. Picked that up. Didn't pay much for it. Yankee candles. Got a bunch of those. Yearbooks. Got hundreds and hundreds of yearbooks. We find them in cleanouts. People leave them behind, and then we sell them on eBay. Usually get $25. Sometimes we'll get $30 for the college yearbooks, $25 for the high school yearbooks. They're quick to list, and I mean the sell-through isn't great, but they don't take up a whole lot of space. And you know, some of these have been here 2-3 years, but we don't care because once they're listed, they're in the inventory, and eventually someone's going to look for them and maybe buy one. I'd probably say our sell-through on yearbooks might be, you know, maybe 50% every year. 60% the second, 70% the third. Perfumes, if you can come across them, new in the box, sealed. eBay will let you sell them, from my understanding. They started to take some of our perfume listings down. I have no idea why. It might have been because they were used. But perfume is one of those things that has a good high resale value. Little pewter figurines. Fenton, piece of Fenton. Royal Dalton. Crystal. Collectible stuff. Verado. We bought an estate with like 10 totes full of all these Anna Lee dolls. All different seasons. We've got these up right now, the Christmas ones. The carolers, you may be familiar with those. The carolers, those always do well. These anally, not as well. I mean, they will sell probably, but we'll have to reduce them down, sell them in lots. Lots of glass, lots of china. Selling china on eBay, we've got another video. If you look in the playlist, you'll see we did a whole video just on china and how to sell china. But we do a lot of it. It's easy to describe. You've got good keywords when you list it, so people can find it when you have that inventory. There's patterns that are definitely better than others. It's not a category that has a high sell-through unless you get really good patterns. But a lot of the patterns that do sell quick are a lot of the like the home goods type brands, the pure wood import type stuff, the modern patterns, the older stuff, the stuff that, you know, the estate china with, like, for example, that has the silver rims on it, the gold rims. Not as much. People can't microwave it, so a lot of the young people now, you know, they get grandma's china, you know, and they don't want it. They can't microwave it, and they don't appreciate, you know, the lineage of it. Carnival glass, crystal, nested bowls, Pyrex. Those still sell. People buy these nested bowl sets, and they pay pretty good money for them. I mean, a nested bowl set like this, you know, you don't want to pay $30, $40 for this at a yard sale. You want to go up and have someone that doesn't necessarily assess any value to it, want to get rid of it, and you offer them $5 and you take it, you know, maybe $10 if you're in a good mood that day. And then you might be able to sell it for $40, $50, $60, depending on the rarity of it. Here's the caroler dolls we were talking about earlier. I sell a ton of these. Sometimes we put them in lots of 2s and 3s. Sometimes we sell them individually, but we always sell those. I sell a lot of flatware as well. People oftentimes have flatware and they need extra place settings, or they lose pieces. So we always look for flatware. Got fishing poles, you know, just more and more china, glass. Remote controls, we sell remotes. Fishing lures, we bought out a fishing store at one point years ago. More fishing stuff, collectibles. These saltwater reels, Matchbox, collectible cars. You name it. So just to summarize what we've talked about, eBay can still be a good resource for resellers. It can still be a good side hustle, whether you are using it just to help bridge the gap between buying a tank of fuel or groceries in the fridge, or whether you actually do it as a full-time job. eBay is still a good, viable platform, offering you the ability to be able to sell products and have a lot of fun doing it. Of all the things that we do, I can't say that reselling is the most profitable, but I can say it's probably the most enjoyable. I would recommend narrowing down the type of items that you sell on eBay if you're going to do this to make money. It helps when you're sort of a specialist in that field, and when you can find those items, you can identify them quickly and know whether you're getting a good deal on them, whether you're having to buy them or obtain them. I recommend becoming an expert in just a few categories. That way there, when you're out and you're sourcing, you can identify something that would be a good deal if you have to purchase it, or you can identify it knowing that it's going to have a quick sell-through at a good profit. If you like the content we're providing, please consider becoming a subscriber to the channel. You can also find us on Facebook under Resellers Network. If you have any questions regarding any of the topics we've covered today, feel free to leave a comment below. I promise you, I will personally reach out and answer every question that you ask. So happy treasure hunting, and I'll see you out in the trenches real soon.